couple of things. So I am recording. I'm going to go over a couple of things just in review that we started with last week. And so what we had here was, this was just the lightning. And remember that what I had said was that we repeated or we removed the black background and substituted a white background right here. Oh, sorry, I should be on this layer. To make the effect just more interesting. You know, it's starting out in a dark gray, and then for that one background right there, it becomes a lighter color. And I'm not quite convinced that the lightning here is the best drawing that I've ever done. So let me just take a minute and show you how to perfect this lightning right here. And what I might end up doing is just redoing it. Instead of trying to fix what I've got, is just redoing it. I mean, let's take a look at the overall timing. And again, I think my observation is pretty much the same as it was last week. I think the lightning is moving just a little bit too slow. And I know that might seem kind of crazy to you all because it's only 7 frames, which is less than 1/3 of a second, but lightning does
Uh,
move.
it's not
Yeah.
screen sharing.
I don't have screen sharing, huh?
Yeah.
All right, hold on one second. Screen sharing. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Thanks for speaking up. Okay, so like I said last week, it's moving just a little bit too slow. Lightning does move almost at the speed of light. And the reason why I say almost is because there can be a little bit of air resistance in there. One second. I'm going to pause the recording. I have to do one thing for just 1 second. Oh, never mind. Oh, just 1 second. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I kind of like the overall attack. I kind of like the idea that it starts from the upper right and moves to the upper left. And I'm going to open up a new layer, and I'm just going to kind of redo these. So let me make a new drawing layer here, and I'm going to call this just L1 and I'm going to consider it just my final lightning. So now this is onion skinned just a little bit, just by the main viewport of Toon Boom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch. We talked about this a little bit in the last couple of weeks, that when I have a pencil, I'm going to draw I'm going to give myself a new black color here. I'm going to make sure that it's 000. Remember that in this multi-color wheel mode, you can start to see colors just by their RGB values. If you know it's 000, it's black. So in the pencil, I'm going to just draw a couple of pencil lines over here off the stage. And remember that when I hit the main contour editor and I select them, that you can see that there are a certain number of points in there. If I zoom into this and just look at it, you can see that if I take my contour editor and I just start moving things around, that it cleans up the points. So you can use this smooth editor, and you're going to get like a dialog box over here for your tool settings, and you can just start cleaning them up. And you can see right now it's just removing some of the points. And this is borrowed from the Flash days. Toon Boom was actively competing to make sure that they stole away all their Flash customers. Um, and so this is a very typical tool for cleaning up Flash, because Flash is supposed to be a web tool. And then animators realized that there was a timeline in there, which was ridiculous because Flash only needed 4 states. It needed neutral, down, press, and up for their timeline. And then the engineers at Macromedia gave the timeline 1,800 frames. And I was at Wild Brain at the time when they said, "Oh, 1,800 frames. Well, let's start animating in Flash." And Macromedia is like, "Wait, what? There wasn't enough memory. There wasn't enough RAM or cache for anybody to animate." But they did it anyway, and Macromedia was just uh, kind of taken by a loop. So once again, I'm just going to draw a little piece of lightning here once again and show you the difference. So right now, this is a very stylish looking line. And I drew this in a pencil so that when I hit the main select tool, and I select this, and I zoom in, or yeah, I'm going to zoom in really close on this. You can see that what you've got is a line that goes right down the middle. But when I use a brush, and I'm using the same color, and I do basically the same thing here, now you can kind of almost see the different variety of shapes that I'm getting just out of my stylus. You can see it, you can feel it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the lightning using the brush. And I don't think I did that last week. I might have been going just a little too fast. So, but when I hit my contour editor now, and I touch it, and I zoom in, you'll see that now I have a series of points on the outside and on the inside. And so I can go in and I can actively make things a little thicker if I want. And I can look at it aesthetically instead of just being married to that one line down the middle. So that it's actually a very big point. When you're doing this, just be careful. Always make sure that you're not doing anything like that, because that doesn't look like lightning. You want your shapes to be really, really sharp. And so with the contour editor, you do have Bezier, and you just activate that by just clicking on any of the points, and you can move the Bezier points. Come on, Toon Boom. It's not letting me do it. Just go to the contour editor. Pencil editor. I want pencil editor. Yeah, I don't, hold on a second. Yeah, it might be just too small. Let me zoom in. There we go. So now I should be able to play. I should make that, because the lightning is going to be really sharp. So it was just a question of being too close to it. Right now I am at probably 400 or 500%. I'm at 800%. All right, so what I'd like to do then is just show you, I'm going to put on this L1 layer here I'm going to pick a new color again. I'm going to double click on this. So this is going to be L1, and it always makes sense to name your layer and your colors the same, because then it's less confusing on your part. Giving yourself as much of a command as possible. I'm going to rotate my stage, and I'm going to draw downwards. I'm going to alter this just a little bit because I think that it was moving too slow. So with this light L1 color with my brush tool, I'm going to very carefully just kind of copy what I've got. I'm using a very stiff pressure on my stylus. And again, I'm not just drawing these lines, I'm thinking lightning. I'm thinking electricity in the air. They can be really sharp shapes. And instead of ending it right here, I'm going to go all the way over to here. and think about the electrical and the volatile nature of the lightning itself, the spark. All right. And I'm just going to do this relatively faithfully to, I don't like that one, to the rough lines that I had underneath it. All right, let's go to the next frame. And I can see on my onion skin here that that was my old one. So it might be that the best thing to do is to just not use this one anymore. So, and the reason why I say that is because we've already redirected the timing and the shapes a little bit. So just with this guy with the onion skin turned on, I'm going to do 4 more new drawings. So I'm going to stay at this point, and I'm just going to do a little bit of variation here. I don't want it to move around too much. One of the reasons why I don't want it to move around too much is because this is a lightning blast. It comes out from Mother Nature, and it just releases all of its power. So I'm just going to get a slight variation right there. Maybe I'm going to add a couple of little tendrils. There's some really great videos of lightning hitting the mesa and the plains in Arizona. They get the most unbelievable lightning storms there. They're really cool. All right, so once again, I'm just going to put a slight variation in there. And animators might know this as a technique called trace back. And what it does is it just gives a little bit of wiggle. Again, I'm not just drawing lines, I am thinking electric, I'm thinking sparks. All right, so I want 3 more here. So in this one, I'm going to give a little bit of different variation because it's after the flash that we just did, and I'm going to redo that one again in black here in just a moment. And just a reminder that when I started drawing this particular frame, it filled in the missing frames between the last drawing that I had and this one. So you see it filled this frame in right here. So what I want to do is I want to add an empty drawing to this. So this drawing is actually empty. And I can delete that. I can just right click on that and delete it because I want to put that black drawing on top anyway. All right, so let's do one more little lightning bit here. That'll make it a little faster. So this one is going to be very similar to the one that we just drew. I'm just checking my tools. Oh, I wanted to mention one other thing, and that is that we did one little flash of black lightning shape, and then a white became, the black background became white. You can do that 3, 4 frames in a row if you want. There's no technical rules here. Just experiment with how many times you can get that a little flash to work. All right, I'm going to Shift M, and I'm going to take a look at what this looks like without the little black in there. All right, so that looks better. Even with that extra little black to white background in there, it definitely looks better. Let me take a look at this frame. So we do have white. So now I need a black lightning on top of this. So my black lightning was, let me find the black. So that's the black lightning. So I don't want this one anymore. I'm going to do a new layer. And this is just going to be black underscore 1. Oops, didn't take that. Black underscore 1. I'm going to add and close. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to draw on this layer right here. I'm going to pick a new color. It's going to be black L1. So this is black L1, B L1. Say okay. So now I want it to be black, jet black, 000. All right. So, and I can't see the lightning that's underneath here. So I'm going to turn my onion skin. It's already on. Let me think about this for just a moment. Oh, okay. All right, so one thing that I can do here is, because this is my last frame, is that I can repeat that in this black L1 here. So what I'm going to actually do is hit the Command key on the keyboard for a Mac, and I believe it's Control key for PC, is I'm just going to select this, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go to this frame, and I'm going to paste it. And so it's exactly the same, but then I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to paint, because remember mine was default to paint at unpaint, and I'm going to paint this. Now I have to like do it line by line, which is fine. It's oops, yeah, I didn't like that. I ended up clicking on the background. So let me just do an experiment. Yeah, good. So remember that Toon Boom will allow you to drag through while you're painting. You don't have to be extremely precise with it. Make sure you get all the little parts. There you go. Okay, so now let's see what it looks like. And so now this, let me zoom out just a little bit. What did I do? I turned something off. Oh, I'm in the wrong mode. All right, so that looks better. It looks more like lightning. I like the little scrunching up that's happening right here. So once again, that's just a revisit of doing the lightning. One thing that you can make it even better now is to go on any one of these particular frames, and again, use that contour editor, and really go in there and think to yourself, well, I want this little centerpiece right here to have a little bit more thickness to it, because it is starting to look like a regular pencil line. And remember what you're doing. The idea would be is to do the same thing, because you've used the pencil tool or the brush tool, is to give this part of the lightning a little bit more volume. So then use your G key to go to the next one and do the same thing on this. So give this just a little bit more volume, and just go to the next frame and give this part just a little bit more volume. You know, there's something in the air that exploded, or something in the air that just caught the electricity and caused a little bit more light, like dust or particles in the air or something. And so I've just made a couple of adjustments there, and let's take a look at what it looks like. You know, so you can see that. You can definitely see that, and it's looking more like lightning. So the other thing that you can do is do that a couple more times, maybe like on this one, this little part right here, and then use the G key to go to the next one. And I want to Z that because I dragged and moved, which deletes points when you're using the contour editor. So G, and this one, and the G key. And so it moved, so now I can just move this one. Oops, I moved it and it deleted it. It might be too far away. I might have to move up. That's okay. Okay, next one. And move this up a little bit. And you know, you don't have to do a lot here. The other thing that you want to do is, like I was just saying about the points, make the ends really sharp. All right, and then let's go to the black drawing. And that was B. This is this one right here. And so do the same thing on the B drawing. Now this one you have to be careful with because it's giving you a maximum contrast of black against a white background. And you will see this adjustment more than all of the other adjustments. All right, so let's take a look at this. All right, I'm sorry, let's move out just a little bit. There we go. All right, so you can see that that one's even a little better for lightning. And you can do this black flash here. You can do this twice in a row. You could go. In the first part here, you have a black background, and then the white comes in. It's a white lightning. And then in this frame, it's black, and then it turns white again, just for the rest of our quick little demonstration. But in this, you could copy this and just say black, white, 3, 4 times in a row. Just make sure that it's only about that much, because too much is going to be a little bit ridiculous. Remember, we did change the color of the background from black to white right there. And so what that would mean is if you, like for instance, Jen, if you have the deep background behind your mountains on the volcano, and that background is black, meaning that they're clouds, you can just put a white background for one frame between the background and the volcanoes while your lightning flashes, just for one frame, and it reads like a lightning explosion. All right, so I'm going to save this and put this away. And I'm going to just, does anyone have any questions about that? Good, no questions. All right, so I'm going to go. So let me do, I had the water splash. Take a moment for that to open up. All right, so this is the water splash we did last week. I'm gonna just run away for just a moment. I need to get a drink of lemonade. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so let's just review this. Let's take a look at it again. So this was a pretty good first attempt at water splash. Again, what I'm looking at here really more than anything else is just the classic Disney stuff. And from my board, from my effects board, we were looking at the Joe Gilland Water, and he's the master of special effects. He is the director of the special effects department at Vancouver Film School. He was my lead on James and the Giant Peach. He's an all-around good guy. He drives a motorcycle, you know. So once again, we're looking at water splash, and the water splash, I think I might even put a JPEG of that in the class last week. All right, this is fire. It's amazing sometimes how water and fire can look the same. You know, so this one's pretty good. It's got some really sharp shapes on the end right there. It's okay. But the one that we were talking about, and this, like we said last week, OMFG, this would take you forever. If you're going to do a water splash like this would take you weeks. And you could do that if you want. If you wanted, one of you is an animator and you wanted to go back and look at Pinocchio and the water splashes in Pinocchio, they're incredible. Let's see if I can find one just really fast. No luck right there. I'm sorry. So let's find the one that we were looking at. It's always nice to have the shapes in your eyes. It's always nice to have the articulated, large, medium, and small shapes and how they relate to each other in your eyes. So we started with this one last week, and it got us through the timing. Remember last week we didn't put the ripples in there. And remember, I think I might have mentioned this last week too, that in our flag animation, if I would have done this version for you all, you would have murdered me, because this just takes forever to do. And it's not appropriate for a game animation class. If it was for animation, we could certainly try um, a very, very difficult flag waving like that. All right. Oh my God, look at this one. This is really cool. A meteorite coming in and leaving a trail of smoke behind it. This smoke right here is just freakishly awesome. The two different keyframes right there. Remember, you can see this board. All right, let me find water, 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 water. I'm at the end already. All right, so let's just go Joe Gilland. Okay. And I'm getting some really obscure things. You know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump over to our best friend Google here. All right, so this is the one that I just mentioned that a couple of students in the past have tried to emulate this. It's right from the textbook that I love. Water splashing, fire, articulated movements, vortexes moving counterclockwise and counterclockwise, air pushing. This is really wonderful. This is an interesting little study on water shapes. Not quite completely happy with it. This is nice. There's like a bird landing in the water right there. Let's see what happens if we cross-reference this. I'm not getting a lot of other stuff over there. So this is nice. This is right out of the Gillen book. So let's just leave it at this one. We've got the little campfire. We've got the water. And this is 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the sequence. Right here is drawings 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the sequence. And this one's fine too. This is right out of the Joe Gillen book. And you're going to get this now on the recording, but there's some really great shapes in here. You know, look at these little ghost shapes in here. Look at the little droplets out here. Look at this overall shape right here. It's a good medium-sized shape. This is a big shape. Last week when I did the water, remember, I had you do it in parts so that this is the left part. This is the right part. This is the part here that comes towards us. This is the part that goes away. You know, so this sequencing is great. There's a whole bunch of really wonderful shapes in here, and the little breakaway water droplets as well. And again, you can just go and see what the sequencing looks like by clicking on this one. So let's just leave that one, and we have some good shapes in our eyes. All right, so for this test right here, it was working. Remember, we have a 12-frame delay, and that the droplet comes in and there's water. The timing is good. So now all we would need to do is go in here and put some better shapes on this. So I'm going to pick this new 5 color here, hit a new 5, double click on it, and we're going to call this W1 just for water 1, and we're going to make a new layer, and we're going to name the layer the same thing, W1. Come on, 1, add and close, and right above it. So we're just going to clean this up on 2s. We're going to do a little rub down on this on 2s. And so we're going to use the brush tool again. We're going to use our W1 color, and oops, I didn't want to do that. All right, so, and I want everything to be new. So even though this was okay, I'm going to zoom in on it. And on here, we're just going to rub this down. And what I mean by rubbing down is just giving it a more of a final shape. I remember that 2 on the keyboard is zoom. So I have my left hand on the keyboard. All right, so, and remember too that what we had done last week, let me just check by this. We did not copy and paste. Remember, I started copying and pasting, but I had a little issue. So now that we've got the timing here, let's give a new line for W1. Actually, let me change this color just a little bit so that I'm going to make it a little brighter. So I'm just going to go really quickly. And I'm also thinking that I want to keep this shape closed so I can paint it. And maybe right here, I'll introduce a little drop coming behind it. And this reminds me that remember that when you're doing a shape like this, if the shape doesn't clean up, quote unquote, clean up too much, that you're in a good place and that your brush and pencil settings are very close to being, oops, I did that on the wrong layer, hold on. Come on, Toon Boom. It's not behaving. For some reason, Toon Boom is not behaving. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just redo this, and we're going to turn this layer off. All right, I'm just going to copy this. Remember, I'm thinking water, I'm thinking surface tension, I'm thinking that these shapes are going to be closed so that I can paint them a lot easier. I'm going to use the greater than sign on the keyboard just to go to the next frame. I'm going to turn the onion skin on so I can borrow this shape a little bit so I can see that there's a little change of shape right there. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. And I'm going to follow that little droplet. Again, it filled in that frame, 2 frames out. Now we're right here. Two frames out. Now we're right here. And I'm actually going to Command Z this because when I did this, it was a clockwise fashion, and your hand does have memory. So I'm going to be able to get a better accurate redraw on the shape if I use the same motion. Surprised I even did that. Okay, so now 2 frames out. And now let's just take a look at this, right? Like, okay, so I see very small and then small, very small and medium and very big shapes. In this example here, we can also see the concentric circles that make up the ripples starting to happen. All right, so let's just take a look at this. And remember, we did this last week. We did left, right, forward, and backwards. But now we're ready to kind of just give a better line on this. Let's make the shape closed. Let's go ahead. This is a little interior curve here. So let's put a hole in this right here. And let's give ourselves a little droplet. Just start it like the, oops, it's too closed. That's good right there. Okay, so now let's do this one. And let's keep this shape closed. Let's take a look at our example. In this shape, in this example, he's got the left and right side hidden by the front already, but we've got our rough back there, so we can just start right here and just give it, make sure you're thinking water. You know, water has a little surface tension to it. And maybe we do need another interior shape right here. All right, and then let's do the left side. definitely a water droplet right here. Definitely one here. Maybe a bigger one right here. All right, and then let's do a hole right here. And let's do the back side. One moment. Hi. Good morning. Hi. Okay. Sorry, it's one of those things that happens to people who have tons of things to do every day. All right, stay focused. We're doing the back side right now. So when I'm looking at this, this looks like a little 2 seashell right here. It's like medium or small, small, small. So I'm going to Z this out, and I'm going to think about this interior curve, and then a really small, and then make this medium. That whole thing is kind of like a big shape to it. All right, so that works. Okay, so if I do an interior shape right here, now I'm gonna have to count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 interior shapes that I'm need to follow through with. And I'm gonna put another droplet here and another droplet here. And so you could literally count. We've added 4 interior shapes and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 water droplets. So let's go out. And now we're gonna just follow those through. So with the blue line, let's do the ones in front first. So this little V shape right here. And I'm just articulating, I'm watching what my hand had done before. And the reason why I did this is because I don't want this volume to get less right there. All right, so once again, we're following this shape right here. And I'm gonna follow interior and then up, little small shape, articulated, small shape, medium, and then small, and then big, cut it back in, cut it back in again, do a little outside curve, come back, fill it up. All right, so there was an open circle right, an open hole right here. So follow that open hole and follow this open hole, point it at this interior shape, follow through on this water droplet, and then on this water droplet right there. So let's just go ahead and put that one right here. All right, so now we're following the blue line rough. On the right side, this went up, interior, exterior, small, medium, a little wiggle, medium, think water, think surface tension, scratch your forehead, interior shape, exterior shape, think water, not just line, exterior, and connect. Think about tangents. We did not have an interior shape in this water, but this is calling for one. So we're going to introduce an interior shape right here. In this drawing right here, we did not have water droplets on the right side. And so we do need one right here. So I went back a keyframe. So now let's continue that out, and it breaks apart already. All right, so the backside, this is this little weird shape right here. Let's go ahead and just clean this up, rub it down. Remember that it's moving away from us. So now, not only are you thinking of shape, but you're thinking direction. You're thinking of the water pushing away from you. You're thinking small, medium, large, super small. Keep that little differentiation in shape right there. Backwards, we see that there was an interior hole right here. So let's continue that little hole up a little bit. Again, we want one more right here. We want now the left side. So not a straight line, a wiggle, surface tension, small, medium, large. Oops. Stay away from that mouse. Stay away from that button on your stylus. All right. Let's continue this one. All right, let's go backwards. Now we have to study the little droplets. 1, 2, 3 on the left side. 1, 2, and it breaks apart already. And then, oops, sorry. And then this one, this little red one is going to continue flowing out. And we've already kind of got it right there, so let's just put it there. So let's go backwards and forwards. We need something right here, so we're going to introduce just a little water droplet right there. We need something out here and over here. And let's go to the next keyframe. All right, so now I got this big one happening. And remember that because of the differentiation in space, we can just make, it's not going to be like rocket science here, but we do need to make sure that the flow is continuing. This little V shape with these eyes. So we're going to do the one in front first. We're going to come up and we're going to stop right there. We're going to come up and we're going to stop right there because this stuff is now more in front. So this little ridge right here is now this ridge and it's come up and down already. So water droplet, surface tension, big, large, medium, small, holes. Interior, exterior shape. This is coming towards us, so let's put a water droplet, a small one, medium, interior, exterior shape. All right, so that's good. Let's go backwards a keyframe. It's coming up. Ooh, we definitely need a big droplet right here. And this droplet is going to continue out here. This is going to fall out this way. I'm sorry, let's just do this logically. Okay, so this red one is the left side, and it becomes up. And there's a big one here. Now, we have to stop and go back and look. You know, I don't see any of those big round shapes out here, so let's just rethink that. I think that it becomes an anomaly. I think that it's just it's not conforming to our aesthetic here. So let's break this up. Let's interior and then exterior, and let's turn this into a water droplet. So we're still using this volume, but we're not going to use this big long swooping shape right here. What we could do is we could have it break away into a several different shapes, and we're only going to need to follow that for a few frames, just maybe 2 drawings. All right, so we have an interior hole right here that started right here, and so it's going up and to the left a little bit, and that hole can break into 2 different parts. Let's do the back side. Small, medium, large. We're doing the curve, interior shape. Little hole in the water right there. All right, we stop right there because this one takes precedence. This one's in front. A wiggle, small, medium, large. Let's finish this one. All right, interior, exterior, interior curve, exterior curve, small, medium, large. Go back and study your shapes. You know, this shape right here is beautiful. It's just really wonderful. And this shape right there is wonderful. Get those things in your hand. It helps when you're cleaning up. All right, so we introduced this little bits right here, so bring them out. We introduced these guys, so these have to be over here. Go backwards a frame. And then this has got to follow through. This little piece has to follow through. All right, let's keep going. All right, so now it's just becomes like busy work. It becomes routine. Always keep your process the same. Draw the splash that's happening in the front first. It's going to take visual precedence over the stuff that's happening in the background. So remember, this is the part of the water that is from the main splash. Let's make sure we followed through on that. It's wiggling around a little bit, but that's okay. All right, exterior, interior shapes. And remember, we are using the brush tool, so you can play around with these shapes. This ridge right here can be a little flatter because it is the top of the water that's coming towards us. Stop it. All right, so let's follow through on the interior shapes. So this ridge right here wasn't clearly defined so flatly. So what we can do is we can look at it and like I already did it. I already have one little shape right here. And let's put another one over here. And they are kind of pointing, these little bits are pointing towards the direction where they came from the main splash. So if you want, you can put one here and you can put another one right here. And let's continue with the left side. Let's make this a breakaway droplet. And we've got a very big shape of water right here. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to break. Oh, you can see I already thought about breaking it up right here. So let's break it up, small, medium, large, and it's showing direction. Little wiggle, exterior, interior, exterior curve connected to this one. I don't think you need to follow through right there. Let's do this one. Let's make this a droplet. Let's curve around it. Let's medium. Let's continue from here. All right, so this is going to follow through over here. And this red one is going to go into this shape. All right, and then we've got this that we're cleaning up. Remember, point this at the source of the splash. And this one too, point that line towards the source of the splash. These guys in the back, same thing. So clean this line up. You know, I might not have said that when I was doing this initial demo last week, which is why I wanted to go over this. Remember, this is the away water, so we're seeing the flatness right there. And so these little bits right here are actually pointed towards the source of the splash. This little bit is moving up and it's pointed towards the source of the splash. All right, so this little red droplet here is from the frame before. It's got to follow through. The red has to follow through. This red has to follow through. This interior shape can be over here. So we're going to draw a little extra interior shape. Let's go backwards a frame, looking at it. All right, so let's go to the next frame. And now we're at the main apex of our splash, the main dry. Oh, I should start at the front. So let's start at the front one. And remember, I'm thinking big, small, super small, medium. I'm thinking of these shapes, getting those shapes back in my eye. A little surface tension. And so, oh, remember the water splash in front last week is breaking apart. And remember, we're looking at this line pointing towards where the splash came from. So this is the back side. We actually, there's more back there than we can see. All right, so this is coming from the splash. It's coming up, wiggle the shape. Big, large, medium, surface tension. The three-dimensional quality is here. Oops. All right, left side. Actually, this is a lot of water right here. So we're gonna have to use these holes right here to break it apart a lot. So I've drawn this, but I'm gonna actually break it apart quite a bit more. Again, just keeping those shapes in your eye. And remember, he's got like a little foamy bit and a little interior shape, which is beautiful. You can, as soon as you get this part here, you can definitely make an easy go at the interior shape. You just kind of repeat it and follow through on those frames. So right there, I was just kind of thinking surface tension. It would be natural to have this come up instead of just being a big flat round fan shape like that. All right, so this shape is breaking apart already. It's coming from the source of the splash, wiggle, surface tension, interior shape, and this is a very sharp stream of water right there. This is the away shape of the right side. And really, I'm just thinking of aesthetics. Everything is on the same layer here, so I can very easily paint it. All right, so this is an exterior. This is a hole right here. It's important for you to just kind of always keep in mind, this is a backwards droplet. So this little red now should fan out and become a little bigger. So I have it on this key, but I'm gonna actually increase the size of it by a substantial amount. I don't like that shape. I don't like the way that was looking. So thinking water, exterior, interior, exterior, interior, exterior, something like that. All right, wiggle, surface tension, small, medium, large. All right, and then the left side. So this is gonna grow substantially, and this is a hole. All right, and then this shape is gonna grow as a whole substantially. We're going to follow through with this. We're going to follow through with this droplet, and it's going to break apart. This droplet, it's already hitting the water. This one should be already hitting the water. All right, so this is an exterior shape, a backwards droplet. wiggle, surface tension. This is going to be a really sharp line. Exterior shape, surface tension, like that. All right, let's just keep this as its own separate little wonderful shape. We're drawing the water that's away from us now. This is the top of the water that's going away. Point it towards the source of the splash. Come down, point this towards the source of the splash. This is the ridge that away, so it can be a little flatter. Now remember that we started to get this little plunk of the water coming up in our second splash. So let's go back. That's what this was. So let's add a little bit right here and another little bit right here. This will comprise this main splunk. So this is the water coming up. This is a big drop coming up from the second splunk. And I got to stop hitting my little button on my stylus. All right, so that's going up. This part's going up right here. This is the back side. And let's flat, nice and smooth. Point this at the source. Wiggle, surface tension, flat, away side, small, medium, large, small, medium, large. All right, let's take a look at what we've got just for that. Let's just see if we can see it. All right, so it's already looking much better. So the cleanup on this one then is now you can see that everything is breaking apart. So that hole becomes enormous. Small, medium, large. And then once again, I'm losing the shape. So go back and look at your rhythm. Look at the rhythm of these shapes in there. Go to the other drawing if you need to. Go backwards. You know, those shapes are wonderful. So keep them in your eye. Surface tension, interior shapes, exterior shapes, holes, surface tension, large, medium, small shapes. Point this still at the source of the splash. Continue, source of the splash, surface tension. You know, you're redirecting the shapes just a little bit. Small, medium, large, surface tension. Still directing this at the source. This is going away from us. There's our plunk going upwards. This doesn't look like it's pointed at the source, so I'm going to redirect that one just a little bit. This is away from us. And because of that, I can, for the first time, kind of look at that line overlapping it a little bit. This is going away and to the right. Start small, medium, large, medium, small. Continuing. This piece is big enough you can introduce a hole in it. This is a little unclear here. The force of the splash was right here, so I'm going to do a little ridge like that. Interior shape, exterior, point to the source, thin to medium, bring that like that, up, down, oops, out, down, medium, oops, I don't like that. exterior, medium, small, surface tension. Okay, couple more. So this is like a little stylus error right here. This really should be this way. Oh, it's probably just going a little too fast last week. Surface tension, small, medium, large. And the right side, again with the little stylus error right there. Keep things looking water-like, not like digital stylus lines. Small, okay. And this one, pointed at the source, come back, keep it smooth, small, medium, large. Surface tension. Oops, that was a mistake. That was a skip on my tablet. All right, let's see what the next one's gonna look like, and we're getting there. All right, so just keep the same order, keep the same rhythm going. Remember to try to point those little ends towards where the splash came from. Now you're also kind of thinking about, uh, you might have to add in a whole bunch of other little water droplets here because the volume did break apart, but they're maybe they're breaking apart a little faster. All right, so remember rounded towards where the air resistance is and a little sharper towards where they came from. Let's talk about that plunk. So this plunk is now becoming a little more rounded. It looks like it's following from here. So this little water droplet's going to look like that. This one is like this. And remember, we're going as fast as we can, trusting that the pencil test was working. But as you're doing this, you do want to keep thinking and making critical notations in your mind about what direction each one of these little pieces was moving. And you can do this. Animators have that ability to remember tons of different things. This one's missing. So we missed this one last week. That's what I get for trying to draw and talk at the same time. All right, so this piece right here isn't moving very far, but it's also not breaking apart as much. So we probably need a little couple of droplets here. Point towards the source of the splash. You know, I'm happy with that little shape. Don't be too happy. Don't start drawing the same shape over and over again. Again, just always keep toggling back and seeing what those shapes look like. You know, that little tendril of water going out there. Oops. All right. As I recall, the next few are really easy. So don't get lazy. Just keep these tension, water shape, water shape. Let's get that plunk working. So it was right there. It's blue. No, it's okay. Oh, I'm drawing on the wrong layer. Hold on. We're going to turn this off anyway. So we have to redo these little bits. Keep it where it's coming from. Plunk. All right, and it looks like I was going a little too fast because I lost this one last week. I lost this one. This one's losing just a, oops. This one's losing just a little too much volume, and so too is this one. The animation was working, but now you can make it better by just making sure your onion skin says 1 frame before. This looks like it should actually be moved out here. So now you're just redirecting the direction of the splash just a little bit. All right, we got the Splunk. These guys need to follow through. And remember that we did not do the ripples last week. All right, so here we're hitting the water plane. Here, these guys are just dissipating. You don't want all these to disappear at the same time, so keep just a little bit of spray. Keep a little bit, make it a little bit more random. Go to the next one. Follow through on a couple of these. And like I said, one of the things that you can do is, and remember, I'm using like almost the same words that I used last week. When Jesse was live with us and he was asking us with the chat area when we were doing the tornado about how to get the debris to loop. And we did some of this with that process. And I'll show you what I mean just once again. So we're almost done here. So this is hitting the water again. And we did this really fast. So give this more of an appeal. Give this a better little shape. Think about the directions. This is right. You could also almost even start thinking fish. It's all born from Mother Nature. So these guys should look like little tadpoles, like little fish, little dolphins, little manta rays. It's all part of the same kind of Mother Nature, the same kind of gods of the water deal. All right, and then remember that these guys are going to need a little ripple themselves. So we haven't even addressed the ripple here. All right, we're almost done just with our first pass. And remember, just remember, I'm pointing the little tail of these tadpoles back towards the source of the second plunk. These guys are just now water droplets. The surface tension has brought these guys back into just round shapes. And we have one more, so right here. And this is kind of what I mean about now being able to go through. And we're going to extend this by hitting plus on the keyboard. So let's turn off this layer here. Let's hit one on the keyboard. Move down a little bit, take a look at what we've got. All right, so that looks much better. This is a color card. What we can do is we can add in a drawing layer in the back. We're going to just call this the horizon, and we're going to add and close. So it ended up actually being in the exact right place where I wanted it to be. Let's make a new color, and this new color is just going to be H. And it's very similar to this watercolor that we're using, but let's make it a little deeper blue. And just because we're going to touch over here, we're going to come out a little bit. Let's take a look at these first drawings in here. And let's just put a horizon somewhere about right here. And let's see what that looks like. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, there we go. Let's extend this F5 all the way out to the end. All right, so when you did that little line right there, you can have like a little wave. You can just keep this alive by just putting it on 8s and drawing it over a couple of different times. All right, so does everyone get that? I'm going to save this. I haven't saved this whole production. And let's just take a look at like one of those big droplets right here. So remember, what you're looking at is trying to get this kind of aesthetic out of it. Again, what I would like is finished tornadoes or finished volcanoes for next week. And let's get your water working so that you can put it either in the volcano, sorry, or in your funnel. All right, let me stop sharing my screen. I'm going to pause the recording.